Hey you guys, it's Dani. Today we are doing something a little different. We are starting a new series, a new whatever. I am going to be doing what I can and trying my best to share some little Cajun traditions and folklore and old wives' tales and things like that with you guys. I get asked these questions all the time, and it's so it's so hard to describe the Cajun culture, if I'm being honest. I mean, you can write it down on paper, what we are, who we are, but it's complicated. It's way more complicated than that. We have our own language in so many ways, like other places do, and like other peoples do. We're like a little tribe down here because that's kind of what we had to become. The Cajuns are French and Native American and African descent. We kind of all mushed together to create what we have here, which is sort of this mixture of cultures and words and belief systems that kind of grew into what Cajun is today. Even though being in the South, it's like, oh, well, African, is it because of the slaves? Like, well, yes, but not because most Cajuns owned slaves. Cajuns were poor people. We were shoved into the swamp. Oh, y'all can have this. Nobody wants this. And we were living alongside a lot of them. Were there racism? Were there problems? Were there all kinds of crazy shit? Yeah. But Cajuns are not just white. Cajuns are not just an exclusive color and kind. We are that mixture. That's what makes us unique and special, and why we have the language that we have and the traditions that we have. And it's complicated. It's complicated and it's unique, and there's nothing quite like it. There's nothing quite like it. The only thing similar that I'd be able to put my finger on to say, a lot of stuff corresponds with this would be probably the Mexican culture. The native Mexican culture is very similar in their structure, in their belief system. Again, they have this heavily Catholic based belief system that also kind of goes its own way. And that's a lot of where Cajun culture is now in the mainstream, if you will. It's a lot of Catholics. There's no witchcraft. That's more of the New Orleans voodoo kind of idea, but it's like, not really. Nobody wants to talk about that kind of stuff. Y'all know Mama and Papa, they got some traitors on speed dial that's gonna call and treat you for a sunburn or for a nosebleed or sunstroke or scarlet fever. We have so many different things that correspond with healing and spirituality and ritual and witchery. And so I want to share some of those little things with you guys in the best way that I can. I want to talk about some folklore. Like, what do we have around here? I mean, we got to talk about the Rougarou. They have the Loup-garou, which is like the werewolf. We also have the they're like swamp gas. They're kind of like the will-o'-the-wisps, only in the swamp. So it's like this ball of light in the swamp. Some people call it the fifale. There's a couple of names for it. We can get into those kind of things, as well as just things that I grew up hearing and just that kind of stick with me. And I'm curious to see if you guys have stuff that corresponds with the same beliefs, or if this is if this is contained here, because I know that a lot of it is contained here, but I'm curious to see if there's stuff that kind of flows to other parts of the countries, if it kind of stays in the southern areas. So it's kind of like a little peek into parts of my practice and my witchery and the things that I kind of pay attention to and just kind of focus on a daily basis. And so, yeah. So after that spiel, I kind of want to start with some fun stuff, kind of the body. So I want to start with these things. So the first thing I want to talk about is one of my favorites, and I've heard it since I was little, and that's ringing in the ears. So what we always say, if your ears are ringing, like, oh man, my ear's ringing, and it depends on how loud it is and what it's doing. But they say when your ears start to ring, that means someone's talking about you. This can be good or bad, but for the most part, it's usually someone gossiping about you. So if your ears start ringing, that's usually a sign that someone is talking about you. So it gets you kind of thinking, oh, what did I do? Why would somebody be talking about me? What you did. If your ears are ringing, somebody's talking about you. So that one's always fun. We have styes. So if you get a sty in your eye, they say you peed outside. So you must have peed outside if you got a sty in your eye. I don't know why. That's just a thing. Maybe because it rhymes? I don't know. One that I take very seriously. Very seriously. Your hand's itching. Okay. So, in the same way that in a lot of kind of witchcraft kind of circles, we talk a lot about the energy flow within the body, right? So, in the left, usually energy will flow in. The right, energy will flow out, right? Cajuns have that same belief system in a way, because if your left hand is itching, you put it in your pocket or you rub it on your wallet. Nowadays, we rub it on our phones because that's money coming in. That's prosperity coming to you. So if your left hand is itching, that is money coming to you. Now, if your right hand is itching, kind of in that same vein, that means you probably have friends coming or someone coming into your life, which usually that means you have something going out. That's energy being shared. That's a meal being shared. So if somebody's coming over, that's food you're going to cook for them. That's coffee you're going to share with them. Because that's a big thing in our culture. If you come over, we're going to offer you something to drink. We're going to offer you something to eat. We are going to exchange that energy. Coffee is always a brewing. Okay. So we have that kind of hospitality. So money coming in, friends coming, so things going out, exchanging that energy, so stuff is going out. So that's a big one and something that I follow all the time. Now, another kind of fun one or funny one is about making faces. So I've heard other places talk about, if lightning strikes, but for us, I've been told this since I was little. I have heard it my whole life. And that's if you're making faces, kid faces, or rolling your eyes, right? Ugh. We used to get told all the time, you better stop. Because if the wind changes, your face is staying stuck like that. Your face will stay stuck. And so that's like always been a big thing. Like, you don't make faces outside in the wind. Because if that wind changes, your face is staying stuck like that forever. Then you're going to be ugly. And that's another thing we say a lot. Just sidetrack. I don't know if other people talk like that. living in other places, I realize how crazy some of our, I can't think of the word that it is. Kind of our local vernacular, maybe. Our local phrases. And that's like, don't be ugly. And it's not like physical ugly. It's like, don't have an ugly attitude. Like, when we tell somebody, like, we tell that to our kids a lot. We tell that to, people if they're just being nasty or mean or rude. That's a big thing for us. Like, don't be ugly. Don't be ugly. When you act gross, then you look gross, kind of thing. I don't know if that's a thing everywhere. So another one that has to do with hair. It also has to do with other things. They say, planting and things like that, which we'll get into at another time. But another one is, don't cut your hair on a full moon. You don't cut your hair on the full moon. Because if you cut your hair on the full moon, it's going to grow back too fast and you're going to have wasted your money. You're not going to keep your hair cut. So don't do that. Or on the flip side, if you are trimming your hair and you're trying to get your hair to grow, then you should always try to schedule your haircut on a full moon. So I guess it works both ways if you really think about it. So the last one I want to leave you guys is specifically for spooky season. It's something that I used to always think about when I was little, when people would say it, and I was like, what does that even mean? And like, now that I'm older, I got ideas. And that's about the frissons. What's that? Okay, so the frissons is the like a chill. If you get a chill, if you get I guess some people call it like goosebumps, goose pimples, goose flesh. It's like a chill, a sudden chill. Now, this is not when you're cold or when you're listening to something beautiful or anything like that. This is like sitting around and for no reason you're like, whew, and you catch the frissons, right? You just catch a chill all of a sudden, or you just, it comes over you, right? You get the frissons. And what we were always told is if that happens, that means that somebody stepped on your grave. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Right? But the more I think about it, now that I'm older, I'm like, it's such a cool thing because we're always taught, because of the way that our graveyards and our cemeteries are set up, we have huge graves, right? They're not just a plaque or something on the ground. They are huge structures. I'll put a picture over here of what our cemeteries and graveyards look like. Now, this is a local one like closer to our area, not New Orleans has its own kind of thing, but the whole idea is because, again, we live in a swampy area. Is everything the swamp? No. But everything is wet down here in the South. Now, Cajuns, I probably should have said that at the beginning. But Cajuns are from a very small area of Louisiana. Yes, we spread out. I mean, look, we gotta go somewhere. But it's very condensed to the south and mostly central Louisiana. Because when you went off to the sides, you were more Creole because you were city, right? So you were in New Orleans. You might have been in Lake Charles. You had like the bigger spaces, right? So in the center, in this swampy, rainy, wet ground, soggy ground, hot, humid. Okay. I love it. I love it. It's fine. I love it. It's very unique. It's a swampy place. So we can't just bury the dead and call it a day because the water table, them things is going to come up. They are not going to stay in the ground. I know that sounds gross. It's true. when it floods, we still have trouble. When we had a massive flood in 2016, in some of the older cemeteries, we had coffins and bodies come up. People had to go and, unfortunately, make sure that we found our loved ones, identified caskets and remains to put them back where they belonged. Because even in with some of the cement or bricked or whatever, oh my God, what are they even called? Graves. Graves. Even with that, if it's so much water and things start to wash from underneath, it can just come up from underneath. It's very unfortunate. So it has to be sunk in concrete now. That's the fact of the matter. So the older ones still run that risk, because now we literally have to put them in a concrete structure within, which seems asinine to me. Like, girl, put me in the ground, call it a day. If I float up, it's fine. Shove me back in. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So we have those. So when we were younger, now a few people still do it today. The old people still do it. There are a couple people my age who are still carrying on this, but a lot of them don't need it anymore as much. But when we were younger, there were a lot of grave sites that were done in brick, the older ones. And every November 1st, which is All Saints Day, we would go to the cemetery and we would paint the graves, or we'd clean them up. We'd put fresh flowers, things of that nature. And you go and you clean up. That's what you do. You go and you see the dead on All Saints Day. And you bring your offerings, if you will. As a witch, that's what I call them now. That's exactly what we were doing. And you kind of spruce up the area. And we used to get in so much trouble if the kids were going. We'd always get fussed at, do not walk over the graves. Don't walk over them. Don't walk on them. Be respectful. And so when we'd hear that, it's like, but I don't have a grave. What are you talking about? When you're little. But as an adult, it's like all these thoughts kind of come into my mind. Like, where did that start from? Is it the idea of A, reincarnation? I like to think about that. Is it B, the thought of kind of all time happening all at once? Right? Like, I love that theory, honestly. Like, all of time happening all at once. Which is kind of why we see and hear things, which is also very cool. And we also have, like, string theory. We have parallel universes. We have things on the other side, right? Oh, so many things it could be. So every time that happens, I'm just like, I wonder who, what, when, and where, right? Anyway, a little spooky tale. So next time you get the frissons, could be someone walking on your grave, right? And by all means, call it frissons around everybody. Can you say it? It's hard if you can't roll your R's, because you can't say frissons, because then that sounds weird, right? It's got to be frisson. The frissons. I'll teach y'all some more Cajun words as well, because sometimes I don't know another word for them, or it's really hard to express them, because this is how I've known it my whole life, like the frissons. I don't really call it the chills, because it's not quite that. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But it's not like when I think of the chills, I think of like having the flu. It's not the same. So anyway, so there we have it for our little Cajun lesson. We're gonna learn how to be some Cajuns, huh? So the next time, I kind of want to talk a little bit about things you do when you're ill, what we do, or when, you know, you have an ailment. I love some of these. I do these. Like, you just do it. Okay. I might even talk a little bit about traiteurs in that one. So that is going to be what we talk about in our next little Cajun series. And I hope you guys really enjoy this. I know I get a lot of questions. If you have other questions, if you want to know something, if you've heard something and want me to elaborate, by all means, put those in the comments below. I'll definitely be scouring the comments and looking for your questions. Do I know everything? No. But I bet I can find out. I am going to try, and I might be able to convince someone, I have a few people in mind, to maybe come on and speak some Cajun French for you guys. Or at least maybe tell me a story in Cajun French that I can kind of relate to you guys, or put some closed captioning and share with you guys so you can really hear the language. I think that would be really, really neat. Especially a story maybe about their childhood or something that happened with them, or something that they heard. You know, I really like that idea, and I know a very select few that can still speak it. And so I would really love to share that with you guys as well. So again, if there's anything that you've ever heard, if you want me to confirm or deny, if you want a Q&A kind of thing, definitely put those down below. I'm really excited to share this with you guys because, yeah, it's something unique, and it's something that I'm really starting to go into. I've avoided some of it for quite a while because of... It's big, and it's a lot, especially when it comes to the spiritual side and to the practice side. There's so much, and sometimes it can get really heavy, and I just wasn't ready before, but I am ready now to step into my ancestry and to step into my place in my culture and in my spirituality within that culture, while it is not the norm, because that Catholic center has kind of oozed out, if you will. So I'm coming at it from a more paganistic, witchy aspect, but so much of it still flows in that same way, and I feel like it's time to embrace that. So that's exactly what I'm doing, and I'm trying to learn whatever I can. Whether that be from traiteurs around here, or family or friends, or wherever I can find it. I'm trying to expand upon my knowledge, and I want to share that with you guys as well. So, I mean, listen, I can't share everything. We gotta have some secrets as Cajuns. Like, I'm not gonna tell you how I cook my rice and gravy, but y'all can have some. Anyway, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. I can't wait to talk to you guys about it even more. And we'll see you soon. I'm sending all my love. Mwah! Later, Gators.